Now this might be your problem here. That piston has this little cylinder on it. And that cylinder has got to be oriented in the right direction. If you put this piston in there backwards, that piston's going to stop, that cylinder's going to stop your piston from going all the way down. You can see there's a little circular cutout here in this cup. And that piston has to be lined up with that cutout so that that piston can come all the way down and that cylinder's in that cutout. If you turn this piston around the other way, so that that cylinder is on this side, it's not going to line up with this cutout. And when you push the piston down, it won't be, it's going to hit this lip right here. And the piston won't be low enough. It'll be too high inside of this cup. So that when you cycle it through, when it comes up, it's going to pop out the top. So this could be your problem. You've got to get that piston in, that lower piston in there, so that that cylinder is going to engage in this little circular cutout right there. That thing engages the nipple on the drainage valve like that. Water flows through there. If you turn this around, two things are going to happen. One, you won't get any water flow through your lower piston because it's not lined up, the cylinder's not lined up with the nipple, and your lower piston won't be able to go all the way down because it's banging into this flange. The cylinder on the bottom of the piston has to engage that cutout. So most likely, the problem you guys are having is you got your lower piston in there back asswards. So check on that. Now when you do that, make sure that this gearbox is pushed all the way down. And make sure that little circular cutout is on this side of the brew group. All right, get the gearbox in this position. That's the lower piston is all the way down, and take some kind of device and push that piston all the way down as hard as you can when it's in this position lined up, you know, with this cylinder. Make sure that piston's pushed all the way down in this starting position. And then it should cycle around. I've got some thick lubricant in there, so it's kind of hard for me to cycle this. But it should cycle all the way around. There you see the piston didn't pop up too high in here. And then back down and across. Now back up. Now the piston's up at the top there. Hopefully you can see that. It's not up too high so that it can go over. There it is. Now, let me look at this another way. Make sure that this little circular cutout right here on the gearbox is that way. You don't want that little circular cutout to be over here. Otherwise, you got this in backwards. So here I've got the piston pushed all the way in. It's all the way down as far as it'll go that way. And that cylinder is engaged in that little cutout. And this bottom flange of the cylinder on the opposite side, of the piston on the opposite side, is bumping into this flange like it's supposed to. That stops it from going too low. Be sure you got your cylinder engaging that cutout in this cup. Now don't forget, this outlet here, this is the outlet where your coffee comes up and goes over to your spouts. That's got to be on this side of the brew group. This side. Don't put your upper piston in there backwards. Otherwise, it won't flow. This outlet has to be on the drainage valve side. So make sure that's that way. That's not what's causing your trouble here, but you don't want to screw that up either. All right, I've put it back together. Let's see if it'll cycle. The piston's going down to the bottom. That's called the home position. That's where the piston resides when ground coffee goes down in here. All right, the brew chamber's pushed over. We can't see what's happening, but we know what happens when we hand cycle it. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. Now cycle back up. Now that lower piston's coming up. And now it should pop across when it gets up here. There it comes. So now it should go back down to the home position. And there it goes back down to the home position. There it is. So really be careful. You've got that bit right there on the right side of this brew group. Now when you cycle it around so that it comes all the way up, if it pops up too high so that it won't slide this way, just reach in there and push it back down. And then it should be able to slide over and then back down, across, back up. Now I pushed it all the way up and the piston, it didn't pop out. It's going to go over and back down and around and then back up. But when you push it up, if that piston, pops up a little bit too high, hold the gearbox in between your thumb and finger and then push that piston down at the top of its travel so that it can then slide over. I'm guessing that you guys probably got your little cylinder out of whack and you put it over on this side, that cylinder that's on the bottom of the piston. It's got to be in the right position. You can see it. If it's the other way, it's going to bang into that flange, and the piston needs to go down this far, but it's only going to go down this far if this hits that flange. Check that out.